So what's been the general feeling with the team coming back today? I think they're trying to get rejuvenated.
Well, obviously we're extremely disappointed with our performance yesterday, and have to regroup and get our heads together. We've let ourselves down in some ways, so we're disappointed in our performance. The performance yesterday is not acceptable. As a team, we won't accept that. So we have to get our heads together and look at areas that we haven't gotten done and try to do a better job and address them as a football team and be open and direct and quite candid with our approach, and that's what we've been working on today.
What approach do you need to take?
Well, there's a lot of things that we have to do a better job with. From a leadership standpoint, we have to have more leaders step up as a football team. When we have a big play that doesn't go our way, we have to make sure that we don't deflate some as a football team. We have to do more things in practice, maybe that will maybe allow us to have maybe a little more confidence on Saturdays. I really feel like we've lost a little bit of confidence as a football team. We were a very confident football team going into the Michigan and the Wisconsin game. When we came out of those games, not near as confident. I thought that the way we performed against Ohio State, we would regain some confidence as a football team, but it didn't really appear that way yesterday. So just addressing a lot of different issues or characteristics of our football team that we need to do much better at. And again, having the open and direct dialogue and getting everyone together on the same page and what we have to do to be a better and stronger football team.
You talked about this team practicing very well, but then not translating into games. Is that an area you got to figure out, or do you have an answer for that?
Well, we do practice really well, and the last couple of weeks we've been down numbers wise. So you kind of wear out the guys that are healthy in practice that week because they're getting a whole lot of reps, and then sometimes the injured guys don't hold up, and you put the other guys back out on the field. So I think we have to maybe do a better job of balancing their reps throughout the course of the week. Sometimes you're working with a guy that really is getting a lot better as a result of it. For example, Jelani Phillips and Greg Latta. There are two guys that have got a ton of reps the last couple of weeks because we've had some of our ends out. And as a result, they've gotten a lot better, but you can wear them down some throughout the course of the week if you're not careful. The same thing happens when you have OJ out and Raheem out, and now you're moving your different skill players at different positions and trying to get them caught up at their position and where they would fill in at other spots because you're shorthanded some. If you're not careful, you can wear them out in some ways. So again, I think we practice really well. I think we have to be careful the balance as far as the number of reps that guys may be getting.
Any update on K1 and his ankle?
I don't know if anyone got injured yesterday that won't be out there a week from now, but we have several guys that have been banged up and played, and they're still banged up. Kawan is an example, and Brandon Taylor is an example, and we'll know a lot more about those guys in a couple of days. But there's nothing to report right now as far as someone that we know is out, and I'm not really sure if some of these guys are doubtful, questionable, or probable until we get back out there on Tuesday.
After you watched the film, looked at the stats, you had said afterward.
Pardon me?
After watching the film, you had said after the game that Turbush had a couple drops and there was some pressure. And what did you see then after you watched that, and how did you evaluate what he did?
Well, I give you the skinny on everybody. I thought that I didn't know what to think until we saw the film, and to be quite honest with you, I was surprised at the effort that we gave. We gave a good effort out there Saturday. We tried hard as a football team, but at times it looks like we're playing uptight, and maybe playing not to lose, which is not the direction that you want to go in. But I wasn't disappointed with the effort when it was all said and done. We're playing hard, but at times we're not playing to win. We're being cautious and reserved in some ways. So we have to, obviously, focus on that some. Stats-wise, when it was all said and done, numbers-wise, it really wasn't all that lopsided, with the exception of yards per completion was inordinate. They had 3 or 4 really big plays, and as a result, I think they averaged about 16 yards a completion. A good completion average is about 8 yards. That's only what a goal would be. But if you look at rushing stats, we rushed for a couple hundred yards. They rushed for a couple hundred yards. We threw for a certain amount of yards. They threw for a certain amount of yards. The stats were very comparable throughout when it was all said and done. But the biggest difference was the number of big plays that they were able to manufacture from an offensive standpoint. And then we had to answer the bell offensively. We started off fast. We scored on our openers, and we rushed for 200 yards yesterday, averaged 5.5 yards a rush, and we were 9 out of 18 on third down and 3 out of 3 in the red zone, all of them touchdowns. And second half, manufactured some offense that we were hoping to put ourselves in position to come back. And we were physical in the run game and didn't make many missed assignments yesterday from an offensive standpoint. And I thought Robert played very, very well. But when it was all said and done, we didn't respond every time that we needed to. You know, we had 4 drives offensively, and we were down 7-28. You know, so we have to be able to respond and score and match when the opponent scores. When it was all said and done yesterday, I thought Robert played a heck of a ball game. He didn't have any incompletes when you look at quarterback stats. He was 11 for 19 official stats, but he was 15 for 18. 15 for 18 quarterback stats. He had a batted tip ball and 3 drops. You know, so I didn't have many incompletions when he was at the quarterback position, and thought he played very well. Caleb's numbers were not near as good, and he had some drop balls and some people who didn't play near as well around him. You know, again, offensively, when the game was over, I thought we ran the ball hard and did some good things, and we manufactured some yards and some points. But I look back on it, and I saw their defensive backs getting a lot of pass breakups against us. So we did not defeat the coverages that we needed to, whether it was man or zone, and then we allowed their secondary to play close to our receivers. When I look back at the game yesterday, I see drops. And I see a couple of sacks at key times and some penalties at key times. And that negated our offense in the first half, not allowing us to match up with them drive for drive and point for point. We did a lot better, obviously, in the second half. And we have some fast guys on the sidelines. Some of the fastest players are on the sidelines with Mostert and OJ. And then Bush went down yesterday a couple of times and struggled to get back on the field. So we are a little bit shy as far as the number of speed guys that we have on the field. Defensively, I thought we responded in the second half and played a lot better. They didn't score any touchdowns in the second half, and we had a bad punt, and our defense came out and held the opponent, and they got a field goal. And we had very few missed assignments yesterday defensively, but we gave up way too many big plays. We didn't tackle as physical as we needed to at times, and sometimes that's a guy that has been injured going in there to make a tackle and protecting himself some. Even though we didn't have that many missed assignments, our execution was not where it needed to be. We got beaten on some double breaking moves, and the defenders knew who they were supposed to have, and they knew what they were supposed to do. They didn't execute it to the detail of the letter, and we were exploited some on a slant and go in a post corner and some very basic double breaking routes. But you know, again, you know, not many mistakes, not many missed assignments, but just not near the execution that we need to have as a football team.
What's your plan at the quarterback position this week? Any change or?
Well, yeah, there's going to be a change, and obviously we've had competition at the quarterback position all along, and it's no different than the right guard spot. You know, Cougar has played well in the last couple of games and played better than the guy that was ahead of him. And Cougar is the starter, and Robert got a chance to play yesterday, and he played very well. So Robert is the starter. So obviously we're obviously making a change at the quarterback position based on a competition. There never has been a quarterback controversy. It has been a management nightmare from an injury standpoint, and for the guys to get the reps that they needed. It's unfortunate that at times the media can spin it like there was a quarterback controversy, and our fans embrace that perception, if you will, in a wrong connotation. And it had been competition all along. And yesterday there was competition, and Robert competed and played better.
Does Caleb become number 2 at that point, or does Rob Henry become number 2?
Well, we'll make that decision as the week goes on, but we'll go in the ball game as with Robert Marver's number 1. Absolutely.
What is it about Rob Henry you've chosen to be your spokesplayer today?
Well, he's always been a good leader, and we're involved in the middle of something right now as a team to try to address some areas of our play and where we're at as a football team. And when I was in a meeting and with the seniors and the leaders on the football team, and I thought he'd be a good representative to send down to represent our football team on the spur of the moment. So, because he's smart and articulate and a good leader.
Just why that decision to just put one player out for the media and no assistants today?
Because we're all busy in the middle of something. That's why. It doesn't have anything to do with dodging or avoiding. There's some things that we're doing today as a team to pull ourselves together, and we didn't have time for the media, if you'll excuse us, if you will, just to let you quite know. Right now, what we're doing was probably more important than having everyone available, but I did stop and make sure I sent a representative down to the football, down here to meet with you guys, and I'm down here with you guys right now. Well, I have about 20 seniors and leaders up in a room waiting for me, so we didn't mean to slight you guys, but right now, our performance and our football team is a little bit more important than the 20 minutes that you might have scheduled for interview time, if you'll forgive us for that.
I don't know how much film you've gotten to watch yet at Penn State, but what's made them pretty successful this season, in a season where not a lot of people expected them to be?
I haven't looked at enough film to elaborate on why they've had a successful season or not. We're worrying about our football team right now, making sure we're squared away and addressing some areas of our play that we feel like we need to do better at, and that's where our focus has been today.
Well, not for coach, he's obviously got it.
Yeah, we'll have time to break down film on Penn State and start putting our game plan together, but there were some other things we felt like we needed to address as a team today.
How do you approach these last 4 games? Do you have to tell them you have to win out, or do you just have to focus on playing better this Saturday against Penn State and then taking it from there?
We have to play better this Saturday against Penn State and take it one game at a time and one day at a time. And obviously we still have an awful lot to play for, but we have to play a heck of a lot better. And we have good enough players and people that I think that care enough about winning to get it done.
Thank you, Coach.
And